everybody, welcome to the Project Phoenix podcast, YouTube and Facebook page. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, you're probably noticing the lighting looks different. Probably. I don't know if you guys even really noticed, but I had to take down my studio lights because I had to pack them up for the move. So everything is coming down. In fact, this mic's going to be coming down pretty soon. In the next few days here. So I'm trying to get as much podcast recorded so I'll have some consistent podcasts. But here, let me show you what I'm recording with right now. Okay? Don't mind the mess though. Keep in mind I'm moving. I don't normally live like this. Here. Sorry if it's loud on the mic here. Oh, okay. So most people don't actually get to see like the background, but this is what I'm recording in. This nice little Asian themed divider. That's a facade. Not facade. That's fake. That's a lie. But this, I live in a basement. That's actually my room right there. So, yeah. So this is what we're living with right now. All of this I still have to pack up for the move to Japan. And this is my one little dinky light. Normally I have a studio light standing right there, but not today. Alright, let's get me back on the camera. See, and these are the kind of things that you guys get to see on Facebook and YouTube that nobody on the podcast will ever get to see. So isn't that kind of cool? The insider's perspective. Okay, so we have some stuff to talk about. Let's get started. I'm so excited. Alright, let's go ahead and cue that music, yo! Hey, welcome to the Project Phoenix podcast. Now you probably realized I changed the music up from last week's podcast, and I don't know, I was feeling that music today. I'm feeling kind of excited, anxious, just kind of like, I don't know, just giddy. So I decided to play that one. Excuse me while I take a swig of green tea here. I was just showing everybody on my YouTube and Facebook page for this Project Phoenix podcast, the video version of this podcast. I was just showing everybody my basically recording studio because it's a mess right now. Oh, sorry, the mic just kind of fell down. Okay. I am in the middle of packing. I am leaving for Japan in 8 days. And 80 days, not 18 days. 8 days. I am leaving for Japan in 8 days. That is a week and a day. And let me tell you, I am definitely feeling it. I am super nervous. Not nervous. I guess a little nervous, a little bit of anxiety, a little, just kind of, it's a big change. It's a big change. I've lived here for 10 years, so it's a pretty big change. And, but mainly I'm excited. For this move, but I was showing everybody on YouTube and Facebook. I had to take down my lighting kits, and I have everything on my table in front of me that's not packed. So it's a mess right now. I feel like everything about me is chaotic. But that's okay. I'm excited to be here. I'm trying to record as many podcasts as I can while I still have my microphone. So that way I can, schedule podcasts out so it'll stay consistent. And then once I have everything set up in Japan, I'll resume recording it. But I'm trying to get as much podcasts as I can up before I have to leave because I don't think I'll have time to sit down and talk that much in the next few days. So, oh man, guys. Today I wanted to get on and kind of talk about traveling and the importance of traveling. And the reason that came up is, one, that's kind of the main theme of my life right now. I'm about to, move internationally from the US back to Japan. And I just yesterday met up with a friend that I met in Thailand 2 years ago. We bumped into a cafe, and he offered us some mosquito repellent, and we've been friends ever since. But we haven't seen each other since Thailand. So that was 2 years ago. But we hit it off really, really well. Especially Matt, my boyfriend, and him. They hit it off really well because they're both, like to talk about business and all that kind of stuff. So they hit it off really well. And we hung out for probably a week. And just became good friends. And we haven't seen each other in 2 years, but we've kept in touch. And so yesterday he was in town near us in the Bay Area, so we had the opportunity to go over there and see him and his new baby boy and his girlfriend, and it was exciting. And the thing that I am so impressed with him is that when we had met him, it was 10 years, but I guess it would be 12 years now. He hasn't been in the same place for more than 3 months for the last 12 years of his life. He's just been traveling from country to country. He's been to so many different places. And, he recently just had a baby. And that baby has also been to more countries than I have. And he's only 8 months old. It's just, I guess that's what happens when you're born between two backpackers. I don't know, but I guess this baby has more stamps on his passport than I do. And I don't know, I just think that's so cool. But I just recently found a YouTuber / podcaster, and let me pull up his name real quick, because I turned the internet off. Dang it. Michael Mast, I think his name is. I'm so sorry. I remember his name is Michael. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to turn on the Wi-Fi real quick just to see. So if you guys hear any interference in the mic, I apologize. See, you can hear that crackling. That's actually the microphone. Let me double check here. I want to give you guys his correct name because I want you to check him out. His stuff is phenomenal. He has traveled, well, he lives in Shanghai, I believe, with his family for the last 5 years. It says Michael B. Mast. So I don't know if that's his name, last name, Mast, but Michael B. Mast is his YouTuber name. And I just recently listened to one of his podcasts, YouTube videos, and he mentioned something that was really profound to me. And that is, traveling is so important. Not just in the sense of it's good to see the world, it's good to explore, not in that way, but for humanity, to be a better human, to be a better, to connect more with society. I think traveling is really, really important. In fact, I think traveling is honestly the cure for ending wars. I mean, obviously not completely, but I think a lot of wars and fighting and things would stop if more people took the time to travel. I've met people living in Sacramento, California, who have never left California. Hell, I've met people living in Sacramento, California, who never even left Sacramento County. All their lives, they've just lived and stayed in Sacramento County and never ventured outside of it. San Francisco is only 2 hours away, but they just have absolutely no interest in going anywhere outside of Sacramento County. And it's like, well, everything I need is here. And I was about to say, I get it. I don't. I really don't. I think, to me, that's just mind-blowing. I'm not trying to make fun of anybody or try to make somebody feel bad for how they feel, or how they think. But to me, it's so crazy to not want to see how other people live or have any interest in seeing the world outside of what your comfort zone is. Because when you live in that kind of environment where you don't step outside of your comfort zone, the only access to the outside world we have is through media or, just well, basically media. And oftentimes media skews a lot of things that are happening in the world, and we develop this fear. And I think a lot of wars and anger and racism and a lot of this stuff, this disconnection between humanity, happens because of a misunderstanding. Because we don't, as a society, don't take the time to visit these places, to see these people, to understand and see and experience how they live. And so, there's nothing wrong with being proud of where you're from, being patriotic, being like, this is the best place ever. Because I feel that way about Okinawa, Japan. I've traveled very little. I've been to Thailand, Cambodia, Malaysia, Japan, and lived in America. And honestly, still, my favorite place in the world is Okinawa. But I'm very open to the idea that there's probably somewhere else out there that I'm going to find even more, a place where I would call home, more than Okinawa, Japan. Maybe if Matt and I decide to go to Holland one day and we're like, damn, this place is sweet, I can see myself packing up my bags and moving my entire family to Holland. And I think to keep that open mind, to allow ourselves to venture outside of our comfort zone and see how other people live, see how, especially us, people who are fortunate enough to live in a first world country, growing up in a first world country. I lived in Japan for 20 years of my life, and then I came to the United States and lived here for 10 years of my life. And until I went to Cambodia, I didn't really experience what a third world country is like, to live in a third world country. Something that was completely foreign to me. We can read books as much, we could read as many books as we want, we can watch as many YouTube videos as we want, but the impact that we get from actually going to these places, to experience these things firsthand, to see these things firsthand, there is a level of understanding that you get from actually physically being in these places. And I think it's so important to see the world and to experience these things and connect with different people that don't even speak your same language, people that don't eat the same food. I think it's just so, so important. And that's one of our goals, Matt and I. When we start having kids, which we are hoping to start a family in the next year or two, we would love more than anything to live like Michael or my friend with his 8-month-old baby, and travel the world and have them experience something outside of American culture or Japanese culture. Growing up, I definitely saw the difference between children who have never left the comfort of their own town or their own city compared to kids who have traveled. And a lot of times children who have traveled a lot, and not just traveled to like Europe, but traveled to more third worldy places, their level of understanding, their level of connection with people, the level of what is the word I'm looking for? Not empathy. The level of empathy that they have is leaps and bounds compared to to children who have never traveled or been to these places. And, my mom just said, I just got off the phone with her, and she said, you can never understand a person by reading a book. Like, the best way to understand a person is to actually meet them in person, see them eye to eye, speak with them, spend time with them. That is how you develop a connection with people. And yeah, that's why, I don't know, I think traveling is so important, and it often blows my mind when people don't have any interest. I mean, I understand, some people, well, I understand this part. Some people have a fear of flying, and I do. So do I. I actually I've actually been offered Xanax from doctors because of how much I get panic attacks on airplanes, because I have a fear of heights and I don't like to fly. As much as I've flown, I still don't like to fly. Which is weird because I love being in airplanes, but I don't like to fly. So every time we fly, I have to have Matt sitting next to me because I actually have a nervous breakdown. But the thing is, despite my fear of flying, it it my fear of adventure, my fear of wanting to experience things in different cultures, it just completely stomps my fear of flying. Because, you know, I don't want the excuse of not seeing the world and experiencing different cultures because I'm afraid of something, because I'm afraid of flying. I can tell I'm very passionate about this subject. Michael, on his podcast, was talking about a lot of conservationists recently are coming out and kind of talking bad about frequent travelers because we are essentially, I guess, airplanes. Airplanes are not healthy for the planet. And, I understand that. I love the planet too. And I very much am for the planting trees and, saving the planet. I'm very much for that. But I'm also very much for the idea of connecting humans and humans. Even saving the planet. For instance, even the idea of saving the planet. When you live in a country like Japan, or when you live in a country like America, you're very much shielded. Your vision is very much shielded from these things. You don't really get to see it or experience the ecological effects of pollution. And only by actually traveling to these places did I ever realize, holy crap, our planet is in trouble. And I would have never seen that. Yeah, I've seen documentaries. Yes, I've seen YouTube videos. Yes, I've heard people talk about it. But to actually be able to see it in person, that impact is a lot different. And I would have never been able to really feel that impact until I had traveled to these places. So, I understand where people are coming from like a ecological conservationist point of view, but I still believe that traveling is important. To connect with people is important. To see nature outside of where you're born and where you're raised is important. I don't know. I know there's a lot of countries. I was speaking to an Australian gentleman that I met at a friend's wedding, and he was saying that a lot of workplaces and a lot of colleges in Australia, like it's almost he was saying that it's almost encouraged that people travel, like in Australia, that people go out and travel and see the world. And I wish the culture was more like that here in America. I was reading the statistics, and America has the least amount of people with passports because Americans don't travel very much. And living here, I've noticed that. I know a lot of my friends who are American who have no desire to travel. They're just like, yeah, America's the best country in the world. And I'm like, is it though? I mean, it could be. It definitely could be. I mean, that's subjective, but how would you know it's the best country in the world if you don't travel to different countries? and see other countries. You know, you can't say something is the best without experiencing something else. Um, so yeah. Anyways, I don't know. I just between me traveling to Japan and hearing Michael's talk on YouTube or his podcast, and then meeting Man yesterday, I was really thinking about it, and just I was watching his son, his 8-month-old son, interact with people around him, and just the fact that he has more passports, he has more stamps on his passport. That's just so cool. The story this kid's gonna be able to tell when he's older, his ability. I mean, obviously, like, I don't know for sure, but oftentimes, like I said, kids who grow up traveling tend to be a lot more understanding and a little bit more, I don't know, what's the word I was looking for again? Empathetic, which I believe is a superpower. I think people should travel a little bit more and find empathy for other people. And I think a lot of our social and economic problems would lessen if people took the time to go travel. And I know traveling it seems like a big ordeal. And it's scary to think that you're going to a country where people don't even speak the same language or eat the same type of food, but that's the part that we have to experience. That the differences. The world is so big, but it's so small. And in this little tiny universe, this little tiny world, this blue and green world, we have so many different types of people and so many different types of cultures, and I don't know, to be able to see it, it impacts you so much. It just pierces the heart. I think it's beautiful. And when I was growing up, I remember I was one of those not gothic, but emo teenagers who was like, I hate the world is so ugly. No. No, the world is ugly if you view it through the lens of the news. If you actually go out and travel, you realize the world is a beautiful place. And it gives you hope. It really does. And you realize that a lot of the problems are actually more like the government. The people who actually live in these countries. There's so many beautiful people out there. And I would have never known that had I not traveled. So, and the wonderful thing about nowadays is it's gotten so much cheaper to travel. I mean, Matt has an app he found on YouTube. A guy who he's a frequent traveler. I don't remember his name, but he was showing, travel hacks, and he found websites where you can literally get plane tickets for like $150 from America to Europe. $150. When I first came to the States, going to Okinawa, going back home 10 years ago, easily cost me like $1,500 to $2,000. But these last few years that I've traveled, especially these last like 3 or 4 years that I've traveled back and forth, the prices of tickets have gone down and down. It's a lot more friendly for the wallet. I remember this last time when we went backpacking. I only bought a one-way, but I think it was only like $400. My one-way ticket to Japan was $400. So if I'd bought a round trip, it would have probably been $800 or $900, which is so much more doable than $1,500, $2,000 that I was spending on a round trip ticket to Japan. And even when you get to these places, oftentimes they have their equivalent of Southwest Airlines. I know Asia, at least Southeast Asia, they have AirAsia. And if you use AirAsia to travel between Southeast Asia, I mean, you could travel for so cheap. And here we think traveling is so expensive, but if you go to places like Southeast Asia, I mean, you could get like Thailand, for instance, you could get some decent meals for $2. I spend Every time I go out to eat here, I spend anywhere from cheap, I'd probably say $11 or $12 before tip. I mean, I walk out of there easily spending like $15 in the Bay Area in California. And then you go to places like Thailand, and for $15, you could probably eat for a day and a half because each meal is like $2 or $3. I mean, and they're decent sized meals. Yeah, a bowl of pad thai here is close to $14, and over there is $3. And then, Matt and I stayed, when we were in Malaysia, we stayed in this high-rise building with an infinity pool overlooking Kuala Lumpur. And it was a penthouse. We stayed in it for $15 a night. $15 a night. Let me see how much that would be in, let me see here. Let me do a quick calculation. Yeah, $15 a night. For a month, that's $465. My apartment in Sacramento, I was paying $1,600 a month. But in Malaysia, for like a month, I was only paying $465 on top of paying $3 for like a plate of food every day. I mean, I think it's, we have this idea that traveling is expensive, but you can actually travel for really cheap, especially places like Asia. You actually, I know a lot of entrepreneurs, it's very common for them to save up some money and then just go to Southeast Asia and live in places like Chiang Mai or Phuket or Malaysia while they're building their business, because it's so much cheaper for them to live in those places and just border hop the countries than trying to live in America. It's a pretty common thing in the entrepreneur space, especially when they're starting out. I don't know. Anyways, I'm just repeating myself at this point. I just wanted to talk about that. I just wanted to talk about the importance of traveling. I think, I really think it's so important. I really do. I think it humbles us, it teaches us humility, and I keep forgetting the word. Oh, it makes us a lot, it increases our empathy. And I believe empathy is the biggest superpower we can have as a human being. So, whew. Alright, I have to go because I still have stuff to do and things to clean, and I still have to get this podcast episode edited. I also have a vlog. If you guys are interested in checking out, Kitsakimi is the name. I'll link it down below on YouTube and Facebook if you guys are interested. On that vlog, you guys can watch me I've been vlogging every day for the last like few days. So, yeah, you guys can see like the behind the scenes of how I am and what my life is like through my vlogs in between my podcast uploads. So, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully I'll be able to record a couple more episodes before I leave, but if I don't, I'll figure out a way. I'll figure out a way to put my podcasts up. So thank you guys again for, I think I said it, but I'm going to say it again because I can't thank you guys enough for listening to me ramble for the last 29 minutes. I love you guys so much. And remember that as long as your heart is beating, there's always going to be an opportunity as long as you dare to rise. And I would also really appreciate it if you guys could give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button as well. You guys have a beautiful evening, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.